Going live. You're live. Mark,
Hey, Cayenne.
hi.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. We're live. So you can introduce yourself and your distillery and your brand.
Absolutely. How long do you want me to go for the intro? Just a couple minutes to say
Yeah,
hi?
yeah. Just say hi, introduce yourselves. And I think there are a couple of new faces here. So I think you could go for about five minutes of
Yeah,
introduction. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, well, thanks. Great to be here again. Thanks, Cayenne, for the welcome, and
You're
good to
welcome.
see some familiar faces. But yeah, so my name is Mark McLaughlin. I'm one of the co-founders of Old Line Spirits out here in Baltimore. For those of you who are watching that weren't here a minute ago, I really am in the distillery. Apparently, it looks fake, but sitting here in front of our little 300-gallon still here in the warehouse. So Old Line Spirits, we are a distillery based in Baltimore, Maryland. Co-founded it with a buddy of mine, a Navy buddy of mine named Arch Watkins. Arch and I used to fly together in the Navy as naval flight officers. Think of Goose, the guy in the back seat that didn't have the great eyesight but still wanted to fly. Did that for 10 years and then got out of the service. Didn't love our civilian careers. He was an engineer and I was a banker, and thought whiskey seemed like the next best thing for us to do. So we ended up starting our own distillery, but not without bumping into a couple of gentlemen along the way who were Vietnam vets that were making this amazing American single malt whiskey long before anybody knew what American single malt whiskey was. They were called Golden Northwest Distillery out near Seattle, Washington, about 90 minutes north of there. And those guys were looking to pass the torch on their business, and Arch and I were looking to get started. So we ended up loving what they were doing. So we lived in the guest house and learned how to make the whiskey, and bought the business and relocated it back home to Baltimore. So that's the quick and dirty on kind of how we got here. And Old Line has since grown. We're still compared to the big distilleries, we're still very small. But amongst our peers in the American single malt whiskey category, I'd say we're probably size-wise maybe in the top 5 or so. So we're it's a small pond, but we are one of the bigger fish in it, just because it's a small category. And we're very, very excited to be here. It's as much as we love bourbon and we love rye and we love Scotch and we love all these categories. This category is it's unexplored, and it's just really, really fun to be here. So what Old Line is putting in the bottle, I describe it a couple of ways. One way, as I'll put it, is it's a single malt whiskey for the typical bourbon drinker's palate, which is not to say we're trying to be a bourbon, not at all. We're trying to be something new. But I say that because a lot of bourbon drinkers have strong feelings about single malts, rightly or wrongly. A lot of times bourbon drinkers associate single malts with Islay peaty scotches, which I tend to, I happen to love those when I'm in the mood for them, but a lot of people don't. So there's that association of single malt equals Scotch and Scotch equals smoky, which is very, very, that's kind of not a fair way to paint things, but that's just the way a lot of people in America think. So what we do is we deliver a single malt whiskey that doesn't have any of the peat character that some Scotches do. We age it in virgin oak like a bourbon. So we're delivering the baking spices, the caramels, the vanillas that really bourbon drinkers respond to well. But the underlying distillate is that biscuity and cocoa and dark coffee and all these, and stone fruit and all those things that malts can give you. So we're delivering single malt in a very, very different way. So that's the very high level. We got some really nice things for you guys to taste tonight. I'll hold off until Cayenne says it's time to go on that. But I'm hoping you guys enjoy what you taste, and we can, just go along and take the conversation where it goes.
Okay, so let's start.
All right. So now, Cayenne, the first one, am I telling them what it is, or just...
Yeah. The first one you're telling them what it is. The one without stickers. The one without sticker. The original.
So I can tell them what's in the bottle for the first one. Okay, got it. So the first one you guys are drinking is, we're going to tell you what it is, and then after that we're going to just give you the color of the sticker, so you guys can try some whiskeys here blind and see what you think and get feedback. So the first one is our American single malt whiskey. I don't know if you can see that at all. Navy Strength. So Navy Strength, as many of you may be familiar, is traditionally 114 proof. And that harkens back to the old days of primarily the Royal Navy, where sailors, being a sailor in the Royal Navy in the 1800s was not a really nice life. But one of the things you did get was a tot of typically rum every day. and that was a ration that was kind of near and dear to the sailors' hearts. And they had no way of knowing if that ration had been watered down to make it last longer or tampered with or whatever. So somebody somewhere figured out that if they took a little gunpowder and mixed it in with their ration and put a match to it, it either ignited or it didn't. And that line of demarcation was considered this ration is appropriately strong or it's not, right? There was a kind of that A or B. And somebody somewhere figured out that 114 proof was the proof at which you would consistently pass that test, and that became, Navy strength. So Arch and I, we used to have our blue label be a cask strength, which we loved. But our cask strength, we decided we wanted our cask strength to be a single barrel cask strength program. So in order to make room for that in our profile, we took our blue label that we're drinking now, and we bumped it down to 114 proof because it is on brand, being Navy guys. But more importantly, we love the way it drinks in this kind of mid one teens. Arch and I always found ourselves drinking our cask strength with an ice cube in it or a little water. So we thought, hey, we're drinking it down in this proof anyway. It opens up beautifully. It softens nicely. Why not make that, kind of an enduring line? And being, Navy strength, you don't see that really often in whiskey, if ever. So that's what we have right now. This is my personal favorite of the lineup. If it comes down to, if I had to pick one thing we make and take it to a desert island and that's all I could drink for the rest of my, at least as far as whiskey, I need some water, I guess, too. But if that's all I could drink for whiskey, this is what I would take. To me, it just hits all the notes that I love, and it's approachable, but it's also very bold. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that.
It has a very distinct distillery flavor. I love this one. I mean, I prefer this to bottle and bond. That's why I chose this. Is it bottle and bond?
Yeah, I like this one better too. Arch likes the bottled and bond. That's his favorite. But for me, this is the Navy strength, edges it out. And I think the bottled and bond, I mean, I love most of our stuff we have has a pretty strong baking spice character because we use a number 4 char on our barrels. And, many of you may know this, but some may not. The depth of char in a barrel has a number of effects, whether it's a number 1, which would be a light char, number 2, 3 or 4. Now there's a number 5 out there apparently, but 4 used to be the deepest char you could get. And most bourbons will be in a number 3 char, as I understand it. And the 3s will give you a little more vanilla, and the 4s will give you more baking spice. And there's still plenty of baking spice in a 3 and plenty of vanilla in a 4, but it's just what's going to be a little more prominent. And that baking spice profile, the allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg, sometimes that white pepper, tiny little bite that almost is reminiscent of a rye whiskey, even though there's no rye in it. Those sorts of things are prominent with that barrel number 4 char. So I'm with you, kind. I love this, and it's I think it's a really nice kind of anchor to our portfolio.
I love this because it has the oatmeal. I don't know if you got it. It has a very oatmeal-y feel to it. The steel cut oatmeal. I love steel cut oatmeal, and I love this.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very, very, very proud of this. And for Kyan, I forget the run of show here. Would you like me to leave room for people to ask questions, or just kind of go through the table?
No, yeah. They'll share their notes now. So, okay. Zach, you haven't tasted it before. I want to hear from you, Zachary.
Yes, I like it a lot. It reminds me of good Irish whiskey. Maybe like Redbreast. It reminds me of. I like it a lot. It's very well done.
Just a short introduction. Zach is, he's a star bartender at one of probably the longest bar in America.
Nice to meet you, Zachary. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you like it.
Emma, Haley, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, it was very it smelled very sweet and had a little bit of the spiciness with the aroma.
Yeah, definitely the peppery, like you were saying, there was definitely that hint of the pepperiness in the initial aroma. And then when you said the baking spices, I feel like that was really coming out like the caramel. And then when you said the almost the oatmeal flavor, I was thinking like a maple brown sugar oatmeal almost, with just like I don't know, you can really taste that sweetness in it. Really like this one.
Very sweet, very, very good, clean finish too.
Scott?
Hey, as soon as I had this, I immediately thought of like really good ryes that I've had. The spices are really, really up there, and I really, really like that. So this is not what I expected from any kind of a single malt. So for me, this is really awesome.
Thank you.
So, Mark, just a background on Scott is exclusively bourbon rye guy. That's why I called him here, and he's right. It has a very rye feel. It has Sterling, how about you?
I liked it. Very spicy. I liked it. I'm drinking it now. I had a little bit of it the other night when you passed on the bottle, so very delectable.
Thank you. You know, to the point about the spice in general. I mentioned the baking spice, but the particular that kind of I describe it as white pepper spice, but you guys might describe it differently. My understanding, and this is where I get out of my depth, is chemistry because I'm certainly not a chemist. But there's a chemical in wood called I think it's called eugenol, and I would put a big asterisk next to this because I could be wrong, but my recollection that is I think where that kind of spiciness comes from is that natural chemical in oak.
So, question on the barrels. You said that's a number 4 char. Is that new American oak, or are they used barrels?
It's all new American oak. Yep. The only thing we do in any used would be finishing, but all that goes into new oak first. So that's been our shtick from day one. That's what our forebears, Bob and Jim, the guys we learned from, that's what they were doing, and we just loved it. So we are experimenting with some reuse of our own barrels and also other barrel liquid we do make in a sherry cask, just to see kind of as far as where we intend to put that new baseline.
No, it's really good. On the note for Navy strain, you don't get the heat of the alcohol off. Okay. Really do that.
There's a feedback from somebody saying.
It's funny, everyone muted themselves.
Oh, no, I had to mute because there's a lot of yeah. So Sean, you tried this before. Did you? You need to unmute yourselves, Sean.
Oh yeah, no, sure. I think it was a little stronger this time for me. Like the white pepper bite was there. It was reminiscent of rye, just like you said. And I don't remember if I had this tasting note before, but I do get a like a grassy hay presence, kind of like some of my favorite bottles of like E.H. Taylor barrel strength might have. So it's got some really nice. When you were talking about bourbon drinkers, I don't think of American Single Malt this way. I usually think, like you mentioned, we talked stone fruit earlier. We talked like really, fruity. This is more rye, and I'm also a rye guy, so a big fan. This is good stuff. Adding water to it, I think, takes away from the overall character. I think 114 is probably the perfect proof for this. Because it just mellows it out a lot. If you want to get rid of that pepper bite, then water it down a little bit. But it's all for me right at 114.
You know why this time it tastes different? Because last time we gradually moved up to this. We started with the flagship, and then we had, and today we are starting with Navy strength.
Right.
I've tried that myself. It makes a lot of difference. When you gradually move up, you're getting acclimated to the flavors. Here you're just exposed to the really raw strength of this whiskey. This is very rye, and rye is my favorite. This is extremely good.
Yeah.
This is, I think I've already run through 4 bottles of this. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The good thing about Old Line is you can directly order online from their website. So I've done a couple of times, and then of course 2 tastings that we had, and I had some left. I just finished it.
Would it arrive before Christmas?
Yeah. Okay, now we move on to a mystery.
Oh, Mark, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize I should have known I was muted.
Okay, now we move on to a mystery label. Pick any color, and then I leave it up to you. Don't need to follow the order. Just pick the color.
Got it. I'll go anyway. So I got blue. Let's go. Let's get our blue. Actually, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Let's do pink first. And I guess I'll give you guys a few seconds here to get that squared away. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do 3 of our. Actually, I don't know how much I should share here. We'll say 3 of our cask finishes. I'll put it that way. No, that's what I'll say for now. 3 all very, very different. Kyan and I went back and forth on some messages to see kind of what we thought would be interesting. We'll mix it up from last time. So so if you guys have pink ready to go, jump on in there. And these should all be at 100 proof, the next 3. And 100 proof is kind of our when we're not sure what to do, we go to 100. But for us, it just feels like that's a very hard proof to go wrong with. So 100 proofs are default unless we have a better reason to do something different.
Okay, fellows, it's free flowing, so please feel free to jump in with your observations.
It's interesting. The nose on this comes across much hotter than the Navy strain, even though you said it's actually lower proof.
It is, yeah. I've heard that comment before on this one.
It has it's like a butterscotch kind of almost when you breathe it in.
Very buttery.
Yeah, it's kind of like a scotch. Real smoky like a scotch.
Anyone get tobacco? I'm just going to. That's what.
I got tobacco like a cigar.
Oh yeah. Okay, you get. Okay. Anyone citrus? I'm getting a lot of orange peel and tobacco.
Yeah, like orange zest.
Yeah, zest, orange zest. Zachary.
Yes, I don't know. I'm catching to me it feels like some sort of like maple flavor, but like the aroma. But
Emma, Haley, Scott. Once you've shared your notes, Mark will reveal what it is. Let's see if we can come at least 1 or 2 notes which are we all can. If you get tobacco, raise your glass. If you get orange,
Orange, yeah.
Tobacco.
Orange peel for sure.
Yeah.
Orange peel, I could say, yeah. Not sweet like an orange juice.
No. Zest.
Am I allowed to throw out anything or no? Is it not fair since I know what we're drinking?
It's fair.
I get this sometimes. It depends on our whiskey. It depends on the day. But this one I'm getting it now is like a ripe summerstone fruit, like a nectarine in particular.
I'm getting a lot of raisins.
That's a new one. I didn't get raisins, but I can see where you get that assessment from, but I didn't get raisins because it is kind of fruity a little bit. When I first put it in my mouth and hit the back of my throat, it was like fruit. I didn't know what kind of fruit, but fruit. And then the smokiness came in from the scotch.
Oh, sorry,
Sterling. This is a 10 on 10. Believe me, I'm trying it for the first time. Mark, I didn't try it. I just bottled a sample. I didn't try. This is good.
You're not trying it. I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
All right, for me, it's more of a darker, sweeter fruit, like something almost tamarind, mixed with tobacco. That's mostly what I get. It's just nice. I don't know anything like this.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you. You tell me when to do the reveal, Kyan. I don't want to do it prematurely.
Well, let me finish it. I'm going to finish mine. So I had those.
Eric, any guess what cask? Just a wild guess. It's fine. Because Eric and Sean have been
I'd be surprised if anybody guessed it. Yeah.
I know I could have guessed. But of course, I knew. But I
don't know. It's hitting me very, very grape. So I'm getting the tobacco and the citrus, or the orange peel, but I'm getting almost like a cognac. Yeah, if I'm gonna get, I'll say cognac.
Yeah, you nailed it.
You nailed it. It's cognac. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think I would have gotten it myself if I
No,
didn't know.
I got cognac, and I was like, I could tell this was cognac. I mean, I know it, but even when I
Yeah.
didn't, yeah, I could. Yeah, it is very. This is possibly the best cask finish. I mean, I've
Yeah.
yet to try the other new one, but this is possibly the best I've had so far.
Yeah, it's very well integrated.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not overwhelming. It's very nice.
Oh yeah, so this is cognac. So Mark, you can take it on from here, please.
All right. Well, I will say, well, first of all, thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. One of the things I think that we benefit from the way we do our primary aging in virgin oak, which is certainly not subtle, is that I think our stuff, there's a lot of forgiveness, I think, in the way we do barrel finishing, because the fingerprint, the DNA of the whiskey going in the finishing barrel is already very well set with that 4 to 8 years in virgin oak. So I think if this were made more like a traditional single malt Scotch in refills, we could run into situations more easily where the finish overpowers the distillate, which we don't think we see very much. I said that the thing in which we're not, well, I don't want to say, well, there's one we're not sipping tonight that it does get overpowered, but it's not in your lineup tonight. But number two, all right, number two, I'd like to go with, please, let's go with the green.
How long is the finishing for that cognac?
That one was, I can tell you right now, because we actually put everything in the back from most of our bottles. So let's see, that was finished for 1.3 years. So, call that 15 months.
Wow. That's impressive that it sat in there that long and didn't overtake it.
Yeah, we finished for a long amount of time, and I wish I could say it was 100% deliberate, but a lot of times it's just operational. Like, we just have only so much stainless steel to take things out, and sometimes these things go longer than we expect, and we get nervous. And we've been very fortunate that, knock on wood, that hasn't we haven't encountered any issues that I'm aware of from that. But yeah, it is some of our finishes have gone upwards of 2 to 3 years, which is starting to get out of the range of finish and into just aging.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely bordering on second maturation.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
So is that one just called just a cognac? Like that's what that one was called?
Well, so we call the product, we call it our American Single Malt Whiskey Double Oak Cognac.
Gotcha.
We don't use the word finish because the government told us we couldn't, which is not true. But once the government tells you no, it's hard to get a yes. So
yeah.
Apparently they said American Single Malts can't use the word finish on the label, which I don't think is accurate. But we didn't want to go head to head with Uncle Sam, so we just changed the way we described it as Double Oak, which is a little bit not ideal because I think of Double Oak as virgin oak twice in a row. But it's the term we got to use. So at least for the time being. So yes, this is our Double Oak Cognac.
You said Double Oak Cognac?
Double Oak Cognac, yes, sir.
Zach, I have one suggestion for you. The Navy Strength, try to make a Godfather at your bar with Navy Strength.
Okay.
It'll make for a good Godfather.
All right.
Yeah.
I actually have the box back in there right now, and if they're still here when I later on, I may ask Will to make one for me.
Okay, so the next one, any takers here?
The blue?
Oh,
green.
Green.
Oh, green? Okay.
This is a definite giveaway. I mean, I think everyone's going to nail this one. This is very quintessential XYZ.
Oh.
Okay, it's huge coffee burst with butterscotch. It's caramelly. So, okay.
Butterscotch. That's what it was, butterscotch. I definitely taste butterscotch.
Zach?
Well,
Scott, I haven't heard from you.
Well, this one, this isn't something that I've tasted before, so I'm really interested, but I'm not sure what I'm drinking.
This is, I think bourbon drinkers will love this because this is, this is gateway. This is single malt gateway to bourbon. When I'm sipping it, if I didn't know what it was, I'd probably mistake it for one of those, which ones? Barrel bourbons.
Where'd you go?
Okay, Sean. I think Sean is smiling. I think he knows what it is.
Can you?
No, I'm just happy.
Will can make it.
No, I'm actually kind of.
Tell the guys. I mean, I need some notes on that. Then. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm talking over here. I just asked one of my colleagues to go see the bartender can make me a Godfather cocktail.
No, Godfather is going to be great with Navy strength. Amazing.
Oh, with Navy strength, please. Yeah.
The one who nails this, I get them half a bottle of this.
Yeah, I get a lot of honey, honestly. Like,
yeah, it has honey, but it's predominantly up to me. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to influence butterscotch coffee because I love coffee. So this is coffee like.
So the well, I don't want to give you.
I was going to say I'm getting a lot more tannins kind of on the finish and a lot drier than the other two. Drier of a finish.
I like that I'm not sure what this is because if I was able to just call it out, that would be a little bit too one note for me. I like the complexity. I don't want to guess because I think someone will probably venture a better guess than I will.
No, this is complex. Yeah, this has more layers than I thought it. You know, 2 sterlings. Wow.
I'll tell you, this one is one we.
More layers than I thought.
Oh, did I step on somebody?
Oh no, you
No.
didn't.
Oh, got it. So this one, I love this one, but
Oh, somehow the Sterling's in there twice.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to do it. I'm having a little technical difficulty.
Somebody. Is it still feedback there? Oh, that might be better now. So this is one that I love, and once in a while, this is one that I find there's some people who just don't respond well to it for some reason, but I love it. I think this is a good one. I can give the reveal whenever you want, Cayenne. No rush on my end.
No, I just want to hear the notes. Eric, what are you getting? I mean, let's just hear the notes so that we know.
Yeah, definitely the butterscotch and I'm not getting the coffee as much, but I'm getting that. Like I said, I'm getting more tannins and the drier finish. It's really, really good. And this one's a lot more complex and much harder to pinpoint any one finishing note.
Emma, I want to hear from you. Coffee.
I wasn't getting the coffee. I was like blown away when you said that.
Yeah, we didn't get any coffee, but I do agree with the butterscotch for sure. That was like the first thing when we were smelling and then tasting it. Very much the like butterscotch, caramely, and then I said almost like pastry is what I was getting a little bit.
Sorry, guys, to interrupt here. My colleague Will, he brought me a Godfather.
Woo!
Hope you enjoy concept.
Will, meet the gang.
Cheers. How you doing, guys?
when you come visit us, you'll meet Will.
Yes, absolutely, guys.
Thanks, bud.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, reveal.
So you guys are drinking our Caribbean rum finished single malt. And to give you a little bit of more context around it, well, that's delicious, kind of. The cocktail. To give you guys a little more context, so we Old Line as a company, we import a pretty small amount of rum from the Dominican Republic. It's a blend of 7 to 11-year-old barrels that we import via our blender down in Texas. And he and his wife, their team, they blend this to our spec, and we get this really, really beautiful Dominican rum. Like I said, it's at least 7 years old, up to 11. And then some of that we just put into a bottle at either 84 proof or 114 proof. And it's good for the business. We call it it's part of our Case 1 line. Case 1's an Old Naval aviation term. But more importantly for us as whiskey drinkers, we take some of that rum and we put it into our freshly emptied single malt barrels. Let it finish in there for any period of time, upwards of 1 to 3 years. And then now we have this beautiful rum soaked barrel that we'll put our single malt back into. So it's a really nice kind of way to kind of back and forth the flavors of the rum and the malt. And it is, we love it. I mean, honestly, even just taking our rum and our malt and just marrying them together in a glass, I think works really, really well. But the butterscotch note that you guys are talking about, that is so prevalent. The best way to describe our rum for those people who haven't had it, maybe none of you have, to me, it's almost like drinking not overly sweet, which we're very proud of. We don't want it to be overly sweet. There's no back sweetening in any of the rum that we put into the barrels to finish. And it's think of like a orange creamsicle when you're a kid. Vanilla, the orange. Sometimes it's like a toasted pineapple. It's we want it to be. We don't want it to be too sweet. So there is a nice, especially at the higher proof, a nice dryness that comes across the palate because of the higher proof. And anyway, it's a lovely rum. So this is this is our American Single Malt finished in one of our rum finishing barrels.
If I may add, it kind of put me in the mind of, I don't know if you're familiar with Brock's candy, the caramels that you would eat usually around Christmas time. It kind of takes me back to Christmas time where you get the little caramel candies that were wrapped up in the cellophane plastic from Brock's Candy Company.
Are they the ones like little bullseyes or?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely, like the little bow tie candies.
Yeah.
You would eat them. They would melt on your tongue because they were caramel and butterscotch. That's what what the green vial reminded me of. It kind of took me right back to like when I was 12 years old.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. We kicked around actually, Cayenne. Didn't we kick around doing an actual sample of rum on this one?
Yeah. So the Old Line rum is they have. Sean, have you tried the rum from Old Line last time? Did we do rum?
I think we did a rum last time.
Yeah,
yes.
we did. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Oh, did we? I didn't realize we had. Yeah. All right.
I'm surprised. I'm the only one who gets the coffee note, so maybe something wrong with my nose there.
Oh, it's an enhanced palate and nose for sure. Super noser.
No, because Emma here is one of the. I mean, she's Starbucks. I mean, she was the star at Starbucks. So that's why if she doesn't get coffee and I'm getting coffee, there's something wrong with my nose.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I believe in this situation, it's all in the eyes of all of the tongue of the beholder, I guess.
It's the coffee farm in you. It's like you just have it in your blood.
Well, I assume that might come more just from. We have we use two types of malt when we make our single malt. There's one that's a pale malt, which is if you were to eat it before we mash it in, it would taste like grape nut cereal before it's broken down into sugar. And then the other one is called a C120, which is a crystal malt or a deep kiln malt, where when they cure the grain essentially and dry it out, it caramelizes some of the sugars, and that tastes almost like Raisin Bran flakes when you eat it. Now, those things change as we mash it and ferment it and distill it and all those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, that C120 is about 10% of our mash bill, gives a really strong cocoa flavor. And I think that cocoa and coffee, those things just those flavors are so closely tied together that I think that's probably what you're picking up on, Cayenne. But cool.
Yeah, possible. Yeah, now cocoa. Yeah, I never thought of cocoa.
I have to believe that was of all of the vials that we've tested so far, that we sampled, the green to me is my favorite.
Okay. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah. Well, the next one I think is the boldest. I saved it for last for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be curious to see what y'all think about this one. So I'll let you guys jump into that. And I think it'll be a bit of a departure from what you've tried before. Maybe not.
It's a blue stickered one.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Yes, blue. It should be the last one, I think.
Yeah. It's redder than the other ones. I've noticed when you gave me the vials the other day, it's redder. So, like you said, it's probably got the boldest flavor of all of the vials that we have. So I can't wait to get into it.
Jump on in, cleared and hot.
I don't know why.
Let me cleanse my palate with the bottled water, and then I'll be right there with you.
Yes, sir.
Just looking at it and hearing the comment makes me think I expect to get a little raisin on this one. Just saying.
My palate shocks. I had tea and a Godfather, and so My opinion's useless right now.
What were you saying?
I was saying it's the most so far like brandy-ish to me. I'm from Wisconsin, so I'm very much about Wisconsin old fashions made with brandy. So I'm like, oh, it's very like sweet to me, like a brandy.
Did you say a brandy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting that too.
Yeah, this
I'm
is by
definitely
far
getting
the
that.
sweetest of the three. This is by far. Eric is going to. I think Eric is going to get this one.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm getting a definite brandy. What else am I? I'm getting something I can't really pin down, but yeah, definitely brandy.
You know, I forget this chocolate-covered raisins. I get a lot of it. You get those tiny boxes of chocolate-covered. I forget the brand. Yeah.
Raisinets.
Yeah, Raisinets, yeah.
Yeah, if I was gonna guess, I would not guess brandy on this one personally.
Okay, Eric and Sean, you tried this before. Hint.
Okay, all right, I'm shutting up.
There's two flavor or notes that I get on this, and I don't want to interfere with anybody's palate, but you've all tried it now already, and I don't. They surprise me that I get them. One is almost like a gentle, like a curing smoke, almost like a bacon. And then the other is mapley syrup. Are the two things that I get on this that surprise me. Now you may not get that, but that's kind of what it and again, it surprises me that I get those things once you hear what it is. It's not, to me, it's not an A to B between those two things.
I have to say I'm getting a slight chocolate, if possible. A little bit of chocolate.
I think that's very,
but mostly the brandy. The brandy's overpowering the chocolate.
Yeah, that chocolate cocoa, I think is that peaks out in a lot of our whiskey. So I'm not surprised you have that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone getting the cherries? What are those bottled cherries? Luxardo.
I have to say, you said raisinettes. I'm getting chocolate covered cherries. If I'm not, chocolate covered cherries.
Oh, I can see that.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Yeah.
Like everything that goes into a brandy old fashioned. I just keep on mixing up like the orange, the cherry.
So I think that's what you're tasting.
I'm like
You're
like
tasting-
you said, the maple sugar or the maple syrup. I'm like, this is so sugary to me.
You're tasting old fashioned. I don't think you're tasting brandy specifically. You're tasting the old.
A brandy old fashioned.
Yeah, exactly.
Like get Emma for Christmas. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So next we need Mark to have an old fashioned for made for him.
Well,
Yes,
Oh my
exactly.
Old fashioned, I must say, is my favorite cocktail of all time. I love an old fashioned.
Yes, me too.
Navy strength or whatever you said.
Mm-hmm.
So here we usually use our 95 proof for our menu old fashioned at the bar here, but I love the Navy strength, and my name's Mark. So there's a Mark old fashioned or just a Marky for short. So, but it drives my business partner nuts because now people walk in and order Markies, and he's like, it's not on the menu. He's very much he's a rules guy, So. Okay,
any guesses here, guys?
Is it me? But I'm getting
I'm getting the brand. Like I said before, to reiterate, I'm getting the brandy and the chocolate covered cherries for some reason. That's really just sticking in my craw right now. So that's what I'm getting.
When I nose this, I can smell the maple, but when I taste it, I don't taste the maple. I do get the feeling of almost like a menthol. It really goes back and into my sinuses, and it's it almost kind of numbs my tongue a little bit. But I can't place the taste.
Zach?
To me, it smells like a maple a little bit. I really like that, but it's not sweet when you try it. It's strong with a punch and little, almost like a smokiness or something like that. I like it a lot. The first and the last one is my favorite.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah, candied bacon sometimes I think of with this one.
Oh yeah, candied bacon. Yeah,
candied bacon.
Yeah,
that could be it.
Yeah.
Eric, we waited for you. You nailed the first one, so I want you to nail this one.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely.
The bacon barrel.
Yeah, there we go. No, I mean the nose definitely is like a maple barrel.
Because it's kind of got that. It's more savory than sweet, but you can
Yeah.
see hidden in the savoriness is the sweetness. So I have to
Yeah.
say, in my assessment, it's more savory than sweet.
So what comes to your mind? What sherry or whatever? What comes to your mind?
The brandy really is.
Oh, brandy. Okay.
The brandy really is like comes out front to
Haley
me.
is going to go back to brandy too, I think. Okay. Eric,
also-
if you just want, if you just were to hazard a guess, what is it? And
I can also give a hint too that it is not a distilled spirit finishing barrel. It's a wine finishing barrel.
Yeah. Okay, that's the hint. It's
That's
a
the
wine
hint.
finishing barrel. Yeah. And it's a fortified wine finishing barrel. Oh wow! Or maybe there after. I think after that's what happens when you go through a lot of it. Your senses.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
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 What
That's
makes
weird because
it,
like I'm not getting wine finish off of this one.
What makes it like smell a little sweet, like a maple?
Well, once we do the expose here, I'll give you my opinion.
Okay, do the expose. Where Sean
All
is not.
This
not
was a Madeira finish.
It's a Madeira.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
it's wild. Like, so I mentioned earlier, well, we've all talked about like, kind of that like light. Well, some of us had the light smokiness and the maple character. We did a maple finish whiskey a couple of years ago, which we were concerned about because the ones we had tried had often been very sweet, and we said, hey, if it goes poorly, we'll blend it, we'll do something, we'll find a use for it, and it came out really nice. So we did a limited release, but this tastes more like maple than our maple finish barrel did, and I don't know why, but yeah, so
Like maple bacon, right?
like mapley bacon, yeah, exactly. And to Zachary's question, I mean, my only explanation really is the sweetness is just that these fortified wines are so sweet by nature, as you know. But I don't really have a very good explanation beyond that. But yeah, it's this one. It's kind of like the original Well, you guys nailed the cognac, but to me, it wasn't as obvious if I didn't know what it was. This one, same thing. I love it. This is one of my favorite finishes we do. But it's like the port finish we do. It's unmistakable. It's a port. The sherries, mostly for the most part, are very, very noticeable as sherry. This one is a bit more of an enigma.
I have to say that you guys got me at a disadvantage because sherry is the spirit that I've never really partaken in, so I don't really have really have an example of what sherry tastes like.
Yeah, when it's a wide range too, though. If you do dip your toe into the world of sherry, there's 8 or 9 different, I don't know if they call them varietals or types, but they go from pretty dry to pretty bold and fruity and sweet. So a lot of those sherry finishes and sherry aging that you'll see will be Oloroso, which is like a medium sweet kind of nutty one, which we use here a lot. Pedro Jimenez will be more fruity and whatnot. So there's a whole wide range of sherries. But on the Madeira world, for people, if anybody hasn't had a Madeira, but maybe you have had a port, because port's a little bit more known in America, I guess. My, heavy-handed description is, port is very fruity and berries and things like that. That's kind of the character I get with that. And then very ripe berries. And then I get for Madeira, I get a lot more raisin, like that very oxidative character. So that's my heavy-handed way of comparing a port and a Madeira. And that's how it reflects, I think, in our finishes too. Our port finish, if you like port, you'll love it. If you don't like port, it is not for you. There's no ambiguity there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree. This has more luxurious feel to it. If I had to explain in one line, it's very luxurious. Madeira, I personally lean Madeira, but today cognac beat. Today cognac was the real winner for me. I don't know.
Hey, I'm very pleased to hear you liked it. I think for me, for the finishes, I think Madeira is where I land. But we love it's like children, right? You love them all for their own special treats. Yeah.
So Eric, which one was your favorite of today's lineup? I mean, including Navy Strength. Yeah.
I think the Madeira, just because it was the most complex and confusing, because it doesn't taste like a Madeira. So that's what's very interesting about it. Otherwise, I mean, I think the Navy Strength is definitely like an everyday sipper. I mean, I would be happy drinking that.
Yeah, it has a lot of distillery character. I love it. Sean.
I'd say probably today I'm leaning rum. For some reason I'm the rum guy today. I really liked what that did. It was unique. I had a hard time placing it. I was guessing at the end it might have been rum, but I had no idea. So like it's all the finishes were great. Navy's fantastic as far as like its own strong thing that it is unlike anything else I get to try. The finishes are also interesting and unique in their own way because they don't express themselves like many others. So very well integrated. Really like it. So yeah, I think today I'm going to go rum, but they're all up there for me.
Scott.
Well, I'm gonna say definitely the Navy. Absolutely, and it's probably because it is for me like a rye, and it's like the ryes that I like to drink. The Madeira would probably be second. Not a butterscotch guy or a raisin guy, so the other ones didn't really land with me as much. But that Navy one is outstanding, really, and it's kind of changed my perspective of what I think a single malt is in America. So it's really great. I'm glad that I got to try this today.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Haley and Emma.
I liked the single malt the best. I just feel like that was like really, it was just nice and clean. Like it just went down easy. I don't know. It was like really smooth, like even balanced whiskey. And you like
I liked all of them, honestly. They all had really unique different qualities and finishes, but I would say my favorite tonight was probably the rum, the green one. I just really liked that sweetness, the like butterscotchy flavor was really
Oh wow, 2-2 rum so far. How about you, Sterling?
I have to basically ride on what Emma's saying. The green with the butterscotch. Is the green, is that the single malt? Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's a single malt.
Finished in, yeah, exactly. They're also
okay. To me, I liked all of them because like I said, I'm a whiskey maven. Self-professed card-carrying whiskey maven. I love bourbon and I love whiskeys. I love brown liquor, but the green one with the caramel, it just took me back to when I was a kid. You understand what I'm saying? It took me when I used to love Brock's candies with the bow tie cellophane candies. I used to eat. My mom used to get those for me, and she used to have them in the candy dish when I was a little kid. So I used to sneak those probably when I wasn't supposed to before dinner. So it just took me back to, I grew up in the 80s. It took me back to the 80s, so I'm 50 now. And it took me back to like 85. So I have to say that the green vial was my favorite by far. Absolutely.
That's what whiskey does to you. It takes you back in time.
It takes you places. I know it takes me places. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it takes me places, man. And like I said, once I drank it, and it hit my tongue and my palate. It took me back to when I was 12 years old.
Zach.
I like the first one the best. And the last one, I don't know. I get the maple flavor, and so I feel like it has the taste, but not the sugar. So I'm kind of sensitive to sugar now. So I really enjoy those two, and this is something I'm gonna be buying for myself for sure.
By the way, Zach also recently purchased one of the iconic liquor stores here in Chicago. So other than being a bartender, he also now is a liquor shop owner. It's Cardinal Wines on Niles.
In Milwaukee, yeah.
And Milwaukee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I go in there.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be looking to, if we don't have your product in my store, I'll be looking to get it for sure.
And why do I always have to be odd one out? I love cognac. Nobody said cognac. I love the cognac. Of course, Navy Strength is always, that was my first introduction to Mark's distillery. Much before I even knew Mark. Happened to be in, I was actually on a trip to Sazerac. No, not Sazerac, sorry. Sagamore. And on my way back, I stopped at a liquor store and I said, okay, let me try something new. I think the first Old Line I picked was the Navy Strength, and then soon after I ordered 2 bottles online from his store, and that's how much I like Navy Strength. But today I think cognac. I was really sold. I didn't try it before. Today was the first time I tried, so I loved cognac. Of course, I love Madeira. Madeira was my last time winner when I did the lineup, and actually, as I think me, Mark, and Jeff, we went back and forth because Jeff was leaning port, but I said no, I stick to Madeira. But today, cognac. Cognac beat the hell out of the other two. My second is Madeira. I mean, Navy Strength's always been my top pick, but if I had to go for the cask finish, I'd go with cognac and Madeira.
I'm very, very pleased that you guys, enjoyed what you tasted. This is the kind of validation and just that, hey, that somebody else appreciates what we're trying to do here is hugely beneficial to us. So thank you.
Oh no, you're upping your game because I've been pretty much buying every cask release that is out there in the market, and now I'm seeing how gradually. Cognac is one of your recent releases, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, it would have been one of the more recent. Yeah, I think maybe about a year ago, but not much longer ago.
I wanted the group to try the maple, but I think you didn't have the.
Yeah, it's sold out, I believe. I mean, there may be Arch may have a case or two squirreled away, but I think it's pretty much gone.
Yeah, maple was I wanted you all to try, but unfortunately we couldn't lay our hands on it. So this is, I think. And what I like about Old Line is it makes transition for bourbon drinkers from bourbon to single malt very seamless.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I've done a lot of blind with people, and I do with not with the cask finish ones. I'm talking of the regular, the Navy Strength and bottle bot. Most of them think it's because I think he uses bourbon process. I mean, most of Old Line way of doing whiskey is very bourbony. Am I right, Mark?
I 100% agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically to that point, like with the big exception of using all malt, everything else we do, we do our fermentation and distillation grain on, the things that bourbons do that typically scotches don't. So basically, our whole production process is bourbon style, with the big exception of the grain. So yes, there's a line, and the aging obviously is a big part of it. So yes, 100%, I agree that we're not trying to be a bourbon, but we definitely are trying to deliver a single malt to the broader American palate that hits on a lot of those high points.
Out of curiosity, what's the experience change between 4 and 8 year for when you're aging? Like
yeah, I meant to bring that up earlier. Actually, it's I love it. So. If we were to go through right now, and I think the biggest difference is between, I'd say like 5, and if you compare to 5 and an 8, for some reason, I don't know why, that 5-year period is one of my favorites as far as like the aging profile. And for us, the 5-year-old for me is much more fruit forward and less baking spice, less caramel, less vanilla. It's still there. All those things are still there. But like once in a while, I'll sip on one of those, 5-year barrels, like we're doing a barrel pick. And almost always when we're doing a barrel pick with a group here, I keep my opinion to myself until they've chosen. But I often like get to that 5-year and I'm like, that's what I would pick. And no one ever does. So, but it's sometimes they almost taste like peach iced tea to me, which I think is great. And then the 8-year-olds, once you get to that range, totally different story. Caramel, all those baking spices are probably much richer, more full body. The palate is just much more viscous. It's just a very, very, very different experience. On the very early end, if you were to pull a 1 year, 2-year, I think that kind of menthol character that somebody mentioned earlier is a little more prominent. Definitely sweet, but still very grainy. And the new make, to me, the new make almost tastes like a tequila sometimes. Like it's kind of wild. So I kind of just did that in a weird order. Sorry, I was kind of stream of consciousness. Did that give you kind of what you were?
It all worked. It all worked.
Yeah. Mark, last time I forgot to ask you, do you use proprietary yeast strain or?
No, off the shelf. Yeah, we use the same yeast that our forebears use. I think it's very similar. We get it from a different manufacturer, but we basically match the profile with it. But I think we get it from Lallemand or one of the big producers. So it is a commercially available yeast that we've used. Yeah.
And your cooperage, is it Kelvin or?
Kelvin. Some is Kelvin. We have some Kelvin, but we primarily have worked with Speyside Cooperage. Their plant in Ohio, and the primary reason is that we do so much work with Middle West Spirits in Ohio as they're the engine behind our production. We produce on the still behind me, but this is going to be bottled in bond, our small amount of peated, our vodka, stuff like that. Our tiny bit of rye whiskey that we make will be made here. And then the bulk of our production, as far as volume, we do at Middle West, and those guys buy from Speyside. So we basically team up with them to get, great barrels at a good price. So Speyside's most of them, some Kelvins, and then we do some stuff in 30-gallon barrels. That's mostly going to be stuff we do in this distillery that we just distill here in Baltimore. And the 30 gallons we get from a place in Minnesota called the Barrel Mill, which is a great little cooperage.
Right.
And what's the oldest stock you have on hand now?
August 10th, 2016 is the oldest barrel.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Okay.
Turned 8-year-old back in August. Yep.
Love to try those.
Yeah, and it's for us. I'll pull a sample for you. I need to make sure I follow up. I'm great at saying things,
right,
like this, and then I get but I intend to do it. Those 8-year-olds are great. What we don't know is, what is a 10-year-old, what is a 12-year-old, we're not sure. Do we need to take it out of that number 4 jar and put it into a barrel that's been used several times to, slow down the oak extraction? I just don't know. And so we're really keeping an eye on those 8-year-olds very closely, because in my opinion, for the way we age, the American style, 4 to 8 is a really nice sweet spot, right? And there are some bourbons obviously that go longer, but by volume, I would venture to guess that 99% of bourbon produced is probably out of the barrel by 8 years. I could be wrong on that, but I would think that's probably true. So, there's a reason for that, right? You can get more oak than you want. So we're really not sure what the pathway is to a 15 and an 18, if we just keep it in those barrels and just let it keep going, or if we take it out and put it into a more gently oaked barrel. We just don't know. So we'll keep you.
So do you put your barrels on the side or upright?
Primarily, they're upright because we palletize. There's a row or so of them on racks on their side, but primarily palletized, and that's primarily for functional reasons. That it's just, to move things around the distillery, it's much easier. Our understanding is if you leave enough room for air to circulate around the palletized barrels, that you can get very much a similar profile as a barrel on its side. That's our experience.
I hope you're not using silicone bung stoppers.
No, it's all, I think it's poplar or whatever the standard is. Yeah.
Well, just throw in a new batch, and then in 4 years, if you don't like what happened with the 8-year, make it a blend.
That's right. I think we'll be able to keep an eye, as these things are aging, if they're, 4 or 5 years old, we're keeping a casual eye on them, but those 8-year-olds, we have easy access to those in the warehouse here. So we're going to keep a close eye on those, because we want to be able to take action if we start to notice a trend we don't like. But, at this point though, 8-year, maybe most of the tannins are pulled out already. We just don't know. It's just kind of this unexplored, uncharted territory for us. So we're kind of feeling our way through it.
Well,
Is everything aged where you're at?
Oh, sorry, I heard 2 questions.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying the single malt is winning with me, definitely.
Thank you, Sterling.
I was going to ask, is everything aged at the location you're at right now?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So everything is, so we distill in the 2 locations, and then everything comes to our warehouse that I'm in now in Baltimore. It's about 25,000 square feet, which is, for us a lot in the big scheme of things. It's not that big, but I'm looking off now. I can see the barrels right now. So we get about 2,000 barrels now. I'd say probably about 1,900 or 53 gallon standard ASBs, and maybe about 100 or 30 gallon barrels. So that's yeah. So everything's aged here, and that process is monitored here. Any sort of emptying, harvesting, blending, whatever it might be, is all happening here.
Oh,
I
very
think,
cool.
Mark, you should do a tasting with Eric's group, which is the enthusiastic whiskey.
Hobbyist.
Yeah, okay, because their reach is really.
I would.
But
I'm gonna get a little feedback. I'll be thrilled to do that. If that was of interest, Eric, by all means, please, I would love to, but no pressure. But please consider me interested.
Eric also,
Yeah.
Eric and Gil, they organize what is that? Cask Barrel Night here in Chicago, and that they're very well connected with Benny. They do a lot of events with Benny. So I think you should, Eric, and you should get in touch, because I want Old Line to be in every Benny's in Chicago. I love this. Yeah.
I would love that too.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I'll get Mark. I'll get your information from Cayenne after this.
Hey, thank you, Eric. I would love to. No expectations on my end. I would just love to be in touch, and that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Okay, then we'll end the live. Your any ending notes you want to share, Mark?
No, I mean, just again, thank you for everybody who's watching, and thank you for all of you for being here and sampling. I hope you enjoyed everything. It sounds like you did, and I'm very pleased with that. And I just, very grateful that you guys are willing to sit here and try our whiskey and listen to me talk. It's, appreciate the privilege of your time, and thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your samples with us. I mean, it was very hospitable. Thank you so much.
Happy to do it. More than happy to do it. Anything for Cayenne.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for hosting us, and I really want to see Old Line going places. So I hope you can work things out. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. You made a believer out of me.
Thank you. It's all amazing.
Thank you all very much.